What's up guys, hope you're doing great. This is your boy Kwadwo Sheldon, and in today's video you're going to look at 10 pro tips on how to work with professional models, exactly what to do before you start shooting. So without much ado, let us get right into the video. So the first tip that we're going to talk about, and before I even get into all these tips, I have to let you know that this is not limited to just photographers, but as well as filmmakers. So if you're a filmmaker, you're not left out. If you're a photographer, you're not left out either. So let's get right into it. The first tip to talk about is that you have to educate yourself on what is good and what is bad. And what do I mean by what is good and what is bad? I essentially mean that you need to train your eye so that you know how to edit, to what extent, and how to limit yourself with your edits. Of course, I see a lot of photographers, a lot of filmmakers going to the extreme of color gradient and pushing all the colors to the extreme that they end up having their work not looking natural. And sometimes reaching perfection or seeking perfection can be, a little bit of a downside, because you don't always have to aim for perfection. Sometimes, in some cases, you need to stay with subtlety, use subtlety to maintain the natural feel in your work. You don't have to go to the extreme to take out or bring in some certain details that in the end wouldn't really look good. So you have to train your eye and ensure that everything that you're doing is with subtlety and you're still going to maintain your natural feel to it. The second tip is equally as important as the first, and it is simple. You need to know the ins and outs of your gear. If you're working with a camera, you need to research fervently and thoroughly into it so that you know that these are the limitations it has, and if you have a solution to address that, you can do that before you head on to start shooting with it. And also, if there are equipment, lighting, and all the things that you're definitely going to be using on set, you need to have a fair idea through and through of all of them so that you wouldn't find yourself wanting when you get there. And sometimes we rent equipment because you don't have them, and if you're looking forward to a particular equipment, know very well about what equipment it is. If, for instance, it's not what you normally use. So if you're a photographer and you shoot on, let's say, a Canon EOS 6D, and for any reason or for a matter of looking out for much more resolution, for instance, that's what the client wants, and you're going to perhaps use this images or the pictures from this shoot to be blown out for the purpose of billboards and all that, then you're definitely going to go for a much higher resolution yielding camera, like let's say EOS 5D SR or EOS 5D Mark IV. These cameras are quite different from the 6D that we established before that you're using. So you need to watch YouTube videos, research into it, read forums, and a lot of content material that you can find on this particular camera. And once you get your hands on the camera, you're going to realize that it's not so different from what you use, because basically photography and filmmaking still sits on the same principles, the same fundamentals with exposure and all that, just that different cameras come with different languages with the buttons and the placements of the buttons. So that's essentially what you need to educate yourself on, and prepare yourself and know through and through what gear you're going to use, so that when you get on set, you'll be better off working with that particular gear. The third tip is that you need to assemble a very good crew to help you out with your productions. Most of the time, we don't normally see photographers working with a huge crew as compared to filmmaking, so let us just address both equally. If you're going to work on a set, let's say it's a fashion shoot or whatsoever, you definitely need to have a setup put together. Your lighting, your scenery, the set design, everything has to be put together. Perhaps you're the photographer and don't have time. All that you need to do is to ensure that the images are captured right and all that. So most of the time, a lot of the pre-production needs to be done by others so that you can have the luxury to just come in the liberty to start shooting. So having a team together, you can help yourself by sitting down, planning out the shoot, and knowing what to expect or anticipating some things so that you can address things in a much proactive manner, because you can't always determine the outcomes of your shoot. So having a team to plan things out and delegating certain duties to the members of that team is going to help you have a smooth flow, because lots of the work are going to be done by individuals having different responsibilities, and so little of the work is going to be done by you, and by the end you put all together, you realize that you are better off than if it was just you working on the same project. To tip number 4, you need to cast your models carefully. This is sometimes tough for beginners because if you are reaching out to professional models because perhaps you've been working with beginners or just friends and you just want to have a feel of how it will be to work with a professional model, it's sometimes daunting reaching out to them. Most of the time you don't even get responses from them at all, but you just have to keep on contacting much more because there's not just a handful of models out there, there are a whole lot. You don't also have to just look in your locality, but you can also expand and go beyond the boundaries of where you are. So you can reach out to models outside your region so that you have a lot more grounds covered, and definitely you might get some responses back to you. So when you're casting your models, you have to have a precise look that you're going for. You have to have in mind how the costumes are going to fit on the model. So it works either way, right? The costume can determine the kind of model you're going to work with, so as the model is also going to complement the costume. So you need to understand these two things, ensure that you have a fair idea about both, so that if you're casting your models, you know exactly the skin tone you're going to pick, because the setup, the background, the location where you're going to shoot out can also determine the model that you're going to work with. So when you're casting your models, you have to have all these things comprised together, also into consideration, so that when you're casting your models, you can make the right choices and the right decisions for the project. And sometimes clients can also determine the models you're going to work with. But if you feel like you have to put a say into it, you have to address, let's say, the model that you're going to be working with, if you probably have a much better recommendation, you are the photographer and you know the outcome that's going to come out of it, and the clients of course also trust you. That's why they've contracted you to work on the project. You can also have a say in the determining the look of the model or giving the description about what you think will fit best for the concept. So cast your models carefully, and you're going to have a smooth flow when you're shooting, and you're not going to have so much to worry about, because the right models cast for the job makes things so much easy that they come up with even ideas that you, the photographer, wouldn't even think about, and it all resonates carefully and nicely, and it works pretty well. The 5th tip is that you have to provide your agents or provide your clientele, your audience, your prospective audience and clients, good images on your portfolio. You need to post your best work no matter where you are, on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever that you can find your portfolio. If you have a website, you ensure that you post your best works, not just upload everything that you think that you've been able to put together. You just upload everything over there. No, you have to be selective with the ones that you feel are the best. Provide them. So for instance, if a client asks you for your work, you can either direct them directly to your portfolio where it is on any platform that you've registered them on, or you can basically send them to them through email or whatever. You just make sure that you submit your best work, and that's what is going to actually speak well for you. So provide reliable sources to your portfolio which has good images, and it's going to speak well of you. It's going to build more confidence in your clients when they contact you. The next step is that you need to practice, push in a lot of work. You need to put a lot of work out there. When you have an idea, you don't just suppress it, you don't just sweep it under the mat. You go out and you actually execute it. If you make a mistake, that is actually the best avenue to know if you're going to be up to it, supposing you get a client confronting you to do something similar to that. And when you practice, it's going to help you harness your skills, and it's going to even open your eyes to newer things that you haven't thought of researching into. And it's one of the surest way to get your foot right at the door of newer things and prospective clients to get into contact with you. Because as you practice much more, you first of all polish the skills that you already have. Then in the process, you're going to also learn new things, and the new things that you learn are also going to go through practice, and you're going to sharpen them up And as you sharpen them up, you're going to still have that zeal to go in for another thing. So the more that you practice, the more that you get exposed to newer things. So don't ever drop practicing. If you have an idea, don't suppress it. As I said, push in and do your best to always try and make sure that if you even don't get the right results or the expected results, you can still go ahead to practice. You don't just wait until the day that you have a contract, that's where you're going to practice. No, you're going to you're going to be very disappointed in yourself. But having a time of sitting down when you don't have no work, when you don't have any client job to do, that's where you steal the opportunity to practice so much into what you want to do and perhaps try new things. And you can find yourself liking the idea of something new that you haven't ever practiced before. The next tip to consider is that you have to show off your work. And showing off your work isn't something related to negativity by putting your works in the face of people or rubbing it in the face of people. Nothing like that. But you have to have a gallery on your phone to show to friends, to get real live remarks, honest responses from them, because friends can also give you some tips about something that they feel if you had added would have helped. Opinions from friends, from professionals. You just have to have work on your phone or on anything mobile that you can take with you, so that you can showcase your work to people and get the expected responses and some good remarks from them, so that you can use those to better your work the next time you are engaging yourself in a project. So showing off your work isn't anything negative. You shouldn't be less confident in yourself. Feel confident about your work, put it out there, select the best works that you have in your portfolio, put it on your gallery, have it on your phone, then go around when you meet friends, show it to them and get honest opinions from them, and it's going to definitely send you a long way to improving your work. And not only is it going to help improve your work, it's also going to legitimize you to help you know the people that you are going to work with in the future. So it goes a long way than just helping you improve on your work, but also it helps to make you make the right choices when you're collaborating with people, or helping you to get into contact with the best people that you can ever work with to improve yourself in all. The last but one tip, which is also very important, is that you have to learn how to say no. Not all contracts are for you, trust me. Of course we need money to foster what we're doing, but sometimes you also have to think about your values and the things that you live your life by, that are principles. Okay, so for instance, if you pick up any work because a client is paying you so much money for that and you don't feel up to it, don't force yourself to try your hands on them, because naturally, because you are not inclined with that, you are definitely going to have problems executing that work. And of course, because it's not for you, you're not going to enjoy it for the most part, because everything that we do, because you are someone that has educated your eye, you are definitely inclined or attached to some particular things that makes you excited about what you're doing, and that also ensures efficiency in your productivity. So learning to say no to things that you don't abide by or abide with is going to help you make the right choices, and is also going to influence your workflow and your efficiency anytime you're pulling off your work. So don't go ahead taking all contracts that come your way. Not everything is for you. Stay with the principles that you live by, and it's going to help you improve on what you do, and people are going to love you for what you do. The last tip to talk about is that you can learn and emulate your influencers, or people who influence you. If you have someone that you look up to, that you always tap in or check their work from time to time to take some inspirations to add on to what you want to do, you can emulate them, but you have to make sure that you add your spin to it so that it becomes unique and it becomes your touch. Gradually, you're going to end up having some particular patterns that you can't even teach someone should they ask you to teach them, because sometimes it's something in it, and it comes out naturally that you cannot necessarily teach someone. All right, so legitimately, if you are working on something for yourself with an influence from someone that you aspire to become or someone that you look up to, generally you are going to find yourself doing the things that the person did to achieve that kind of look that you also want to achieve. But as you also go ahead, stay true to yourself and add the things that you believe in, things that you like. Don't always follow exactly the patterns that they follow. So for instance, if you watch a video on YouTube and probably this YouTube channel owner is a person that you look up to, and you look at their patterns and their processes in post-production, and you do exactly the same in all kinds of endeavors or all kinds of projects that you edit, it's not going to be an easy path to follow, because here you are missing out on how much you have to involve yourself, what actually makes it yours. So try your best to always add your spin to it, add the things that you like. So if it's a particular color that you always love to add on to it, try to keep to those colors, try to keep to those things that makes you happy, those things that makes it your own, so that people can identify your work for yourself and not identify your work as to be something so much influenced by others. Because if you are influenced by someone, don't make it show too much in your work. Put it out there, add your spin to it, as I always say, and it's going to be unique, and people wouldn't even bother about where you got your influence from. So it's best to always add your spin to it, even though it's also good to be also influenced by other professionals. All right, so in closing, these are the tips that I want to give you so that anytime you're embarking on a new project, for instance working with models for that matter, or working on a project, you can prepare yourself adequately to meet up with the work, because you don't always have to sit down and not prepare, just jump into the work when it comes. No, you have to always stay prepared and proactive, practice, collaborate with friends, do a lot of things that normally you wouldn't do. And as you keep on improving and keep on trying new things for yourself, you're going to notice that you are getting influenced and you're getting much more learned in that respect or that particular endeavor. And it's also going to help you want to even look out for more, and eventually it's going to make you better than your competition. So thank you very much for watching this video through to this very end. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I have a whole lot more videos like this and even better ones that are yet to come. So subscribe to my channel and turn on the post notification button so that you always be notified anytime I upload a new video over here onto my YouTube channel. And until the next video, as I always say, have a wonderful day. See ya.